search, was it last month? Maybe it's more than a month ago now. And you have results from Lala and MySpace Music. And users can, is it live here in Europe or is it just the US?
Right now, it's because our partnerships are geographically based, it's in the US.
Is there some way that they, besides going through an anonymizer thing, is there some way that people in the audience can test that, like trick you into?
I think that right now it's actually based on your overall IP address.
Okay.
So I think
you just go through it.
But it is a very compelling product. We launched it at the end of October.
And do you want to go, like, right, what it is, for those of you who don't know, is you can search for a song now in the US, and you can actually stream that song directly from Google search results pages. And it's pulls it from MySpace Music or Lala. I think it chooses one randomly, and then it sort of sticks with that one.
Yeah, so basically we're splitting the traffic between the two, and based on each user or each cookie stays on one or the other. But it is a full song play, which is pretty amazing, and it's also very differentiated in that we have great lyric search. So I don't know for all of you, but I'm not very good with artist names, song names, but I do listen to the radio a lot, and so I'll pick up phrases of songs that I like, that I want to search for, and now you can actually just put in a phrase from a song, we identify the song, give you a special music result on the page, and allow you to play it right there to verify this is the song that you heard on the radio, and let you buy it if you really like it.
What do you see that 5 years out? I mean, do you see this as sort of the end result for Google with music, or do you have to see how the industry evolves, or are there more plans that you can talk about now?
I think that this, for right now, we're really happy with this as a start. Music has been one of our largest, they did this very interesting computation looking at all of our searches over time, terms that occur both solo and within a particular query. And lyrics was actually our #2 most searched term of all time. Music was #9, so 2 of the top 10 search terms are both music related. So we do see that there's a big user need. We've also seen the studies that show things like when someone has something like iTunes or Rhapsody open, the most common concurrent activity is searching for lyrics on Google, which is why it was important to us not only to have a music search, but also to have one that offered full lyric search.
Okay. I wrote a series of posts about some scammy ads that appeared on Facebook social games and Zynga games and things like that. Have you ever played Farmville, by the way?
I have not played Farmville.
I mean, there's like 60 or I think there's 70 million people now that play. Have you seen it? Like, are you aware of what?
I've seen it.
Anybody here play Farmville? So most people aren't admitting that they've done it. But there were some really scammy ads, and there were some things that people were, getting ripped off. And actually, some of that's been cleaned up now. But all of those companies advertise on Google. And I haven't looked at it too much because part of the problem on the social networks is people are being incentivized to take these offers with this in-game currency. But there's clearly a lot of questionable ads on Google that I'm sure they're legal or maybe sort of legal, but how do you fight that? And you made some announcements yesterday around fighting some of this with people using the Google sort of name, but how does that work itself out over time? Because there's so much money in this space.
I think it's a difficult problem. I don't want to comment on a lot because the announcement that was made yesterday was that we are issuing a lawsuit against some of the scammy advertisers that use our brand, so that you'll see ads that say earn $900 a week on Google or using Google. Those types of ads are the ones that we're targeting with this action.
Yeah, and because it's litigation, you can't talk about it too much. One of the things that I've done with social networking is I get a lot of links coming in from Twitter and Facebook that somebody retweets, or just on Facebook they're sending around, and I click on it just because I know the person, and 9 times out of 10 it's something interesting. And that's a really new thing. I mean, it's really a year old, maybe a little more. And if you think about that in terms of like discovery of interesting things through the social networks, as opposed to discovery of interesting things or searching for things on the search engines, there's a shift here occurring. And how are you going to evolve your search engine to take this into account and leverage it or take advantage of it?
Well, I think there's 2 releases we've had this fall that harken to this. One is we announced Google Social Search, which is available on Google Experimental and Google Labs, where when you do a search, say our classic example is New Zealand, you get the 10 best web links for New Zealand. But now, if you're signed into Google Social Search, you also get You get pages, photo logs, reviews written by your friends about New Zealand. So not only do you get the best results on the web, you get the best results written by your friends, the ones that are most relevant to you. So we definitely think using your social circle and trying to find someone who's near you, who's an expert on the topic, is really useful. And I actually think that search can help social networks that way. I mean, how many of us have seen a status update that says, hey, does anyone know where to go and have dinner? Hey, I'm in the city, where can I go? Or is this movie any good? Instead of shouting that out to your entire social network, why not use search to figure out, hey, these are the 3 or 4 people in my social network who can answer that. The other piece is the real-time search that we announced on Monday. And what we're seeing there is the public updates, even from people you don't know, are already really useful. I know one of the things that gave flight to our real-time search last year when we started looking at it in March and April was I noticed that on Google Chrome, Twitter search was my 5th or 6th most used site. And I was using it in order to find out about snow conditions and ski conditions.
Yeah.
Because snow reports from ski resorts will lie, but people on the mountain will tell the truth. They say 8 inches, but it's a drift, and there's really only an inch.
These aren't even necessarily your friends, right? You're just searching Twitter, and you trust that more than you trust.
Right, because you're somebody who's on the hill, who's taking the time to tweet, will be more trustworthy. And so even the public updates are useful. But that said, now combine the two, and think in the future. Okay, if we do a search, and you combine sort of the notion of social search in real time, we should be able to index the web and allow you to search the web the way you'd see and experience it. So yes, you'd see all the public updates, but you'd also see some private updates from your friends that you alone would be authorized to see, or just their social circle would be authorized to see. So I think if you look at what would the perfect search engine do, the perfect search engine for you would be credentialed as you, crawl that content and show it only to you in regards to the permissions. That's a long ways off, and it will take a lot of industry standards, APIs to get there. But I think this notion of how can we crawl the web or crawl the cloud as you see it and bring back those relevant results, I think is really important because while one of your friends may give a status update today on a particular topic, it may not be useful to you until 3 or 4 months from now when you're going to the same place or watching the same movie, right? And so then when you do that search, getting to pull up your friend's content from a while back, even if it was a private update, could be really compelling.
If you think about it, moving real-time search, the big problem seems to be filtering, authority, understanding true information from false, because it's real time and mobs form and rumors spread so quickly. Do you think, can you solve these problems, and is it something that you're focused on, and is Google the company to do this?
It's hard to say. I mean, certainly we've had a lot of fun looking at the real-time data and trying to understand pieces about it. Obviously, the backbone of Google is our PageRank algorithm, which tries to understand authoritativeness using link structure. In real-time search, we don't have as much to go on in terms of PageRank. We don't have the link structure. But instead what we've looked at is we built out about 12 different signals. Things like query volume fluctuation, publishing volume fluctuation, is what we're seeing in the updates out of the ordinary in terms of using a particular term. And interestingly, inside the ecosystem, you can start seeing things like, does a particular person get retweeted? Does a particular person get replied to? Do they get retweeted and replied to on a particular topic? Right? I might be an expert on Google, but I'm not an expert on Paris. So if I tweet about Paris, that should have a different weight than if I'm tweeting something about Google. It's hard stuff to figure out, but the signals do seem to be there. And while we're just getting started on the experimentation of it, I do think there will be a notion of authoritativeness, and I think that will help to mitigate some of the rumor issues where something false gets posted and really gets propagated quickly because there will be this notion of who's an authority on a particular topic.
I remember the terrorist incident in India, and Twitter was a great source of information for what was happening. CNN was pulling stuff from Twitter and other sources, but so much of it was retweeting and false rumors, and there were very few really good tweets that it was literally impossible to for humans to figure it out real time. It'd be great if the next time something happens, hopefully not something so terrible, Google was somehow able to say, filter that out properly.
It is true, but that said, when you find them, they're magic.
They are.
The Bay Bridge had a cable snap and it was closed for 4 or 5 days about 2 months ago, and we